development in technology, in artificial intelligence, science, medicine, and, you know, uh, computer technology. I'm not brainwashed. First and foremost, what, you know, are the consumptive values of literature? Hello. As far as I'm concerned, uh, this question is one of the reasons, perhaps, why Nigeria's professors' salaries, you know, are the least in the whole world. The least paid. Nigerian professors are the least paid in the whole world. What's their value? What are they talking about? People will sit on National Rock and say, what are they talking about? What are these, what are these lecturers? What are these professors? Who are they and whatever? What do they contribute to the economy? Because they can't see. What is tangible, physical, is in fact, ephemeral and inconsequential. But what is intangible is the one that is malleable. What is intangible is the one that is physical, is the one that is relevant. What is weak is the one that is strong. I think this kind of paradoxes of life experience. Literature, for example, is not just literature that is studied and copped up within the text, but literature is a science laboratory whereby you examine human characters. No, the literature text is a world on its own, and the characters are not just psychological types. The characters are real. The characters are indeed artificial intelligences that we can motorize for development, for everything you can think about. If you take any literature, for example, you see that even the works of Shakespeare, the works of Molière, the works of Ben Jonson, the works of the classical, the classics, the Greek classics, the Roman classics, uh, uh, Aristophanes, Sophocles, Euripides, and all this. All these people are, developed literary knowledges that later metamorphosed into physics, chemistry, biology, and what have you, that form the basis of science and technology today. So that is one overriding value, fundamental value of literature. Literature can destroy the entire world. And when you talk about literature, you are also talking about language and linguistics. You understand me?
Yes, sir.
What was the cause of the immediate precipitate of the Nigerian Civil War? On Aburi we stand. So, Ojukwu and the rest of them. Everything was based on disagreement in language.
Yes.
Okay? I said it in my professorial inaugural lecture, that when God said, let there be light, was it not language? And there was light. So, language is first and foremost the real science. Literature is first and foremost the real science. Okay? So, if these are primordial science, definitely, there's no way they can be wished away. So, I have often argued, and I'm writing now. I'm on a research work now on artificial intelligence, attempting to expose our indigenous technology of artificial intelligence, which is an indigenous African knowledge production system. That's what I'm exploring now. And it will be amazing for you to discover that artificial intelligence came from Africa, not the West.
Okay, I think I agree with you concerning the issue with language, leading to either mayhem or correspondence. Because I can remember a situation when I was in 100 level in UI and I was staying at Agbo. Two women were fighting on a very little disagreement. One had a child, the other one had about three. So the woman with one child actually cleaned the house, and then when she came back, she saw everywhere littered, and then she said, "Oh, you children have come again." So the one inside jumped out and said, "Why would you accuse my children?" "No, now, including my children." She said, "No, you have one, I have three." So the other woman, the other woman also, got infuriated, and it went into we can call it a brouhaha because they actually uh, cause a lot of
You see, let
wounds.
me also tell you, hello,
Yes, sir.
that kind of condition is science. You understand me?
Yes, sir.
The first woman with the initiating utterance, as we will call it in discourse analysis, um, made a statement, which in pragmatics is an utterance. Okay, it came out via oral, you know, vocal sounds. You understand me? So that kind of vocative came out, and then eh, another one from another individual, another woman, made another one. This clashed. That's scientific fusion. That's in physics. That's scientific fusion. So that kind of clash itself, you know, is a kind of a primordial science by which language will be considered as, you know, a kind of explosive, you know, it's an explosive. And it can be used to generate some kind of, linguistic wave reactions, which can destroy the world. An atomic system that can destroy the world. So that's the reason any government that fails to put priority on investment in language and literature is a redundant government.
Prof, for those who know you, your name is reference to ideological radicalism. This particular question. Okay. For those who know you, mentioning your name is a reference to ideological radicalism and commitment to African literature and text stylistics. So, given your exposure to Western education and indigenous cosmologies, how do you theorize African literature differently from mainstream academic frameworks? And what blind spots do you think the university still has in terms of African epistemic autonomy?
Well, the questions have opened up a wide range of issues, which again can be discussed in 2 hours, if you like. African literature, uh, university academics. Let me tell you that, you see, African literature developed from our indigenous cultures and tradition, mores, philosophies, you know, festivals, naming ceremonies, sacred, ritualistic engagements, evocations, masquerades, and what have you. Now, each of these that I've mentioned are, unknowingly to the first cream of Western scholars that came to this part of the world, unknown to them, were future technologies. Future technologies, you know, a form of civilization at the level of the African space, African cosmology. Mhm. Take, for example, without the clock, eh, the African man was able to tell the time through the movement of the sun, and the movement of the shadows. Okay? The African man was able to count yam stakes. When they built farms and plant yams, they counted his yam stakes and all that. The African man was able to uh, understand the uses of plants, both for healing and for consumption and all that. System of irrigation and whatever. So it's usually a fatuous lie, eh, informed by Western, you know, epistemologies that they actually came to educate us. What they came to do was to give names to what we already had. Like you say school, you say hospital, you know, all these things where, you know, we already have forms of them, but we didn't name them. So it's a problem of language. I was teaching a drama class the last couple of days, and I told them, look, the term drama did not emanate from Africa, but then the practice of it had been, you know, observable in different cultures. Yes, both for education, you know, for didactic moral lessons, and for entertainment, far before the invasion of this space, of our African space, by the colonialists. So is it a problem of language? Eh? Okay, the English will say female, the Yoruba will say obìnrin. So it's just a difference in language. Not that, okay, they could have, the Western, um, you know, epistemology would have said that, could have said that we never had a woman in Africa. Just because theirs is woman, ours is obìnrin. So they will now say, okay, they never had obìnrin, they never had woman in Africa. The fact is, it's just the language that is different, but we had a woman. Or we never had men, we never had that man in Africa. Or we never had trees, you know. I mean, we had our own indigenous production system, knowledge base that formed our epistemology. So it is from this that scholars of our contemporary world, who are Africanist scholars, are attempting to generate a kind of, you know, philosophy that is driven by our own, you know, experience and travel through space and time, so that it will be uniquely African.
Prof, in Tony Khan's review of Mr. Kolatunbozun's documentary titled Ebroimi Road, he referred to your house as a, yes, this
my official
particular,
residence
yes, your
in the
official
University of Ibadan.
residence, yes, as a transition from Soyinka's shrine to Fashina's altar. So, given your ambidextrous functionality in Christianity and traditional medicine, would you agree that the description of that transition is accurate?
Well,
You know, on the ground of, let's say, iconographies probably pasted on walls.
but right within this Shoinka's heritage building, eh, you can see sculptures, even owned by me. I didn't meet this here. Shoinka left with his own.
Okay.
These ones were made by me because of
Made by.
yes, not that I not that I am the sculptor, but I invited the sculptor from Idashe, you know, where we have this indigenous tradition. You understand me? Contributing to the general matrix of Yoruba, technology in art and craft. I invited a single sculptor. When I felled some of the trees, and they just thought that they were wasted resources. So I carted some of the logs to my backyard, and I invited this sculptor who was wasting away at Idasha in to come, and he carved them, and I've been preserving them. So let me say this. Shoyinka's shrine, Fashina's altar. That's the question of language. Shrine, altar. What do you mean? A shrine is an altar. An altar is a shrine. Let us not deceive ourselves. Huh? As far as I'm concerned, I am an unpretentious spiritualist. Huh? The only thing I will never engage in my life is to do evil. But I call myself an Agbomola. Understand me? Yeah. People consult me on different things. Different spiritual problems. And, I tell you, I know my Bible. I know my limits. You understand me? I know my limits. When you talk about shrine or no shrine, um, did Soyinka actually have a shrine here? I never met a shrine, and I wasn't the one that occupied this place, even close to Soyinka's generation of occupancy in this building. There had been at least several scholars that occupied this building, before me. Even the even the former scholar, HOD of theater arts here, Department of Theater Arts, late Dr. Adedokun, I met him here. He moved out when I moved in, and he was a Catholic, and he erected a Catholic cross on the carpet cross behind the house. Do you understand me? So, but when I came, I'm a Celestial Church of Christ, prophet. I erected my own, and I put this sign. This sign of Christ, of the cross, is universal. What are you telling me? I don't know if I taught yourself a dream of the rood, which is an Anglo-Saxon word. The rood, that's the cross. So as far as I'm concerned, this cross is metonymic of my belief, my faith, the power I believe in. The longitudinal part of it that comes up, down in the cross, is the power of God coming from heaven. The one across it is the equitable distribution to men, so that it's like when you have, what do you call it? Um, this power transformer. You have electricity coming from Kainji. If you don't use transformer to step it down, it will burn even houses.
Yes.
That's it. So this is even physics to me. It's a constellation of, a knowledge of physics and chemistry, as far as I'm concerned. So the cross is a sign of science. It's a sign of thunder. It's a sign of lightning. It's a sign of power. It's a sign of faith. It's a sign of redemption. It's a sign, of my connection with the heavens. You understand me? So now you would ask me, does it now mean that, what about your traditional whatever? Yes. Hello. I have seen people, I usually tell people, I say I'm a prophet and a babalawo. They say, how come? I said, well, because I know you're going to call me babalawo. So let me first address myself as such. Yes. So that when you talk about idolatry, for example, you are passing by, you see images. Am I pouring libation on them? No, they're artworks. But then, as artworks, I also know their significance. They have their own mutations. They have their own spirit. I don't have to invoke anything. They are ready, because they are made in the image of certain, heroes in history. Do you understand me? They have their mutations. They carry certain symbolic meanings. And these meanings are universal. Do you understand?
Yes.
So when you now say, well, I mean, you see images, say, this man is an adult worshiper. It's okay. Hello? Are you worshiping your lenses? Your glasses? Are you worshiping your standards or whatever? No. So as far as I'm concerned, are you worshiping? You love your car too much, it can be an idol. Eh? So whatever, I understand all these principles. And I do say, I said it in my paper published in you know the Encyclopedia of African Philosophy. That's the title. You see, the Yoruba gods, Ogun, Shango, Eshu, Oya, and all this, are not the same as the gods that God was that Yahweh was against or annoyed about in the Bible. They are different. They are different. You see, the Yoruba gods, ethereal gods that are not erected as the supreme being. They were used as links between the humanity in the contemporary world, and the supreme being. Just like the angels, just like the prophets and all that. And just like the affairs, just like the pastors. That's all. No Shango person will come out to say Shango is the supreme God that has created him or her. I mean, I don't think any Eshu worshipper, of course, the case of Eshu is even worse because of the translation of Eshu in the King James Version, I mean, Satan in the King James Version, to Eshu in the Yoruba, version of the Bible, translated by Samuel Ajayi Crowder. It was wrong. You understand me? Wrong translation. Eshu is not Satan. But because people are looking for forced correspondences where their imagination fails, where their knowledge fails, they begin to look for anything to compare just to establish correspondences. Our cosmological worldview is quite different from those of the whites, period. In Greek mythology, you had Apollos, you had, Venus, you had all these. They were gods. Yeah, and all of them. They are their own gods, you know. But within the Israelis tradition, the Hebrew, the Jews, amongst them, they said the gods of the Canaanites, the gods of the Evitites, the gods of the Jebusites, those gods do not occupy the same status. Look at, for example, when the king, was it not King Darius, in Daniel, erected an image and said the whole world to bow down before it. He said, "This is the real God." This, he called that one the God of heaven and earth. So God's anger will be enraged against such people. But nobody came out to say, well, Shango is the God of the whole world that created the whole world. So there's confusion, there's misunderstanding as far as we are concerned. I try to problematize the issue, one issue on Facebook, maybe in the last 1 month or 2 months, when people talked about the fact that, you know, all along this issue of, religion. And I said, when you say sin in Yoruba, sin, to sin, eh? Which, well, for lack of better equivalent in English, you say to worship. Okay. What about sin ediye, sin agbo? sin ewúrẹ́? Are we also worshiping? So the problem with us is the problem of language. Do you understand me? The Yoruba man does not worship Shogo. The Yoruba man does not worship Eshu, does not worship Ogun. Eh? Yeah, the Yoruba man only appeases them, you know, um, for appreciation and pour libation, you know, just to achieve some kind of, peace within the earth atmosphere. So these are ethereal forces that they use to control action within human society. Not as if Shango is going to plead with them to come to heaven or whatever. He's going to plead with the Lord for them to come to heaven. No, it's a different thing. You want to make heaven? Have faith in God. Believe in your God. See God in the plant. See God in every animal. See God in the sun. See God in the air that is blowing and you don't know where it's blowing from. See God in fire. See God in water. So all the elemental forces in life are created by God. So when you see God in them, then you then you have fear of God. And the Bible says the fear of God is the beginning of wisdom. You know.
So, thank you so much, Prof. I think your explanation of the cross versus the Shogo, altar versus shrine, I think that is related to your structuralist field, the binary oppositions,
Well.
and the explanation of one.
I didn't devise the principle of binary opposition, but I said in class that even the principle is limited because there's now what you call as multiple oppositions. You understand? There's multiple oppositions even now. So whatever it is, don't just take a value in Western cosmology or in Western science and begin to look for a correspondent one or a corresponding one within an African space. You know, it's different. We are different.
Thank you, sir. That will be the end of this interview.